About a month ago, my brother, who's just 3 years older than me, was cycling home from work. He was observed by some passers-by to get off his bike and to start pushing it a short way before falling down on the side of the road. He had just suffered a heart attack and a full cardiac arrest. For anybody who doesn't know the difference, a heart attack is a blockage of blood to the heart, whereas a cardiac arrest is when your heart actually stops beating, and Paul's heart stopped beating. My brother was clinically dead on the side of the road, and had it not been for the quick thinking and selfless actions of four passers-by, absolute heroes, who saved his life through giving him CPR and calling the emergency services, he would not be alive today. Of this there is no doubt. They managed as a tag team to get his blood flowing through CPR and to manually keep his heart beating until the emergency services arrived. There's a link actually to the story in the description below if you want to know more, but it's an amazing story. So what has this got to do with my channel? Well, apart from me not being able to get this out of my head mentally and emotionally, it has a lot to do with my channel. I am a reasonably fit guy, but I sort of consider my brother to be slightly fitter than me. He's in really good shape. He probably has a better diet than I do and probably drinks about the same as I do. But the only difference between us is that I am not a smoker and he is. So today I'm going to be talking about smoking because it is not just a self-destructive habit. There is a real cost to the environment in each of growing, production, use and disposal of tobacco and cigarettes. There's also a huge cost and burden on society from diseases caused by smoking. But one of the worst parts of it for me is that the tobacco industry practically invented greenwashing, or at least the template for it. That persuaded a generation, well more than a generation, that smoking was good, and how that has become the playbook for almost every toxic industry on the planet ever since. Whilst we, the public, are still being taken for idiots, which we are idiots. We've been taken for idiots by the bottled water industry, the dairy industry, beef, chicken, fish, plastic packaging, coal and oil, recycling and power from waste. And if there's any toxic industry executives watching this that feel left out, I apologise. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about smoking and why you should give it up, or better still, never start in the first place. And today, I'm going to skip the why aren't people angry about this post bag at the end for a self-indulgent rundown of my personal gambit of emotions as I struggled as next of kin to get through this process. It is cathartic for me and may be helpful to other people going through a similar situation. But if you don't have time to watch the entire video just now, why not wiggle the like button, subscribe and check back again later. I was a schoolboy smoker. I was brought up in an era, like my brother, when Big Tobacco's unbridled marketing and advertising was out of control. And smoking was considered not only cool, but an essential part of growing up, almost a rite of passage. Your celebrities of the day pretty much all smoked, and I have vivid memories of photos of the likes of David Bowie looking as cool as you like, smoking a cigarette, or Keith Richards, Marilyn Monroe, and even the film star Ronald Reagan. The list goes on. Celebrity culture is not new, and celebrity endorsement, either directly or subliminally, is not new either. and then you have cigars. I've never really understood cigar smoking myself. A bunch of middle-aged blokes, usually just the blokes, sitting around discussing gladiator films, each sucking on a huge phallus, and they don't even swallow. Is anybody else there making this connection, or is it just me? Anyway, the tobacco industry knew as far back as the 1940s that cigarette smoking was a major cause of cancer, but they successfully suppressed this information for decades through an orchestrated misinformation campaign. 80 years later, and some of us are still being fooled. And if you are not seeing the correlation here between these tactics and that of oil companies, plastic industry, the meat or dairy industry, or even the recycling industry today, you are in the right place. Your parents and your grandparents have been had, and you and your children are being had today. It is not because you are not smart. It is because you have not been informed, or rather, you have been manipulated and deliberately misinformed. Knowledge is power. So we have this basically toxic substance that has zero health benefits, that only clever marketing has convinced you that it makes you look cool. But if we are talking about looks, what they don't tell you is that smoke will prematurely and permanently age your skin after just a few years, which I'm pretty sure is not actually cool. I think that most of us actually know this, but it still makes me weep to see beautiful young teenagers, particularly girls with perfect unblemished skin, smoking cigarettes. Surely they must know. How are they still buying this shit? Anyway, we focus so much on the self-destructive nature of smoking, we almost forget the real wider environmental cost of smoking. So let's start at the beginning. To grow tobacco, around 775 square miles of forest are cleared every year. That roughly equates to the size of 300,000 football fields every single year. Before anyone has even taken a puff of a cigarette, around 20,000 farmers and agricultural workers die each year, directly attributed to pesticides used in tobacco production. To cure just 1 kilo of tobacco leaves so that the tobacco can be smoked, it takes 10 kilos of wood. One of the main countries in the world where tobacco is grown is Malawi, which has one of the lowest GDPs on the planet. So even the big money from tobacco is not helping the growers. There is no such thing as fair trade tobacco. Next, this stuff needs to be either turned into a cigarette or packaged as tobacco. In both cases, this requires plastic. And if there are any smokers still watching, did you know that each of the foil, the cellophane and the cardboard from a cigarette packet needs to be split up and recycled separately? Who does that? Anyway, once you have them out of the packet, you have to light them. Smoking causes an estimated 30% of fire deaths in the USA and 10% globally. And once you have managed to light them without burning your friends, family, or even yourself to death, here is a list of just some of the ailments that you can get to enjoy at your leisure as a result of smoking, or even years after giving up. You've got your lung cancer, mouth cancer, throat cancer, voice box cancer, mouth and stomach cancer, bladder cancer, bowel cancer, cervix cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, stomach cancer, I think I said that one, pancreas cancer, coronary heart disease, heart attack, stroke, peripheral vascular disease, cardiac arrest, like my brother, bronchitis, emphysema, impotence. It's not because you don't fancy your wife anymore, it's because you smoke, you twat. And pneumonia. And also, if you do have asthma, it's going to make that worse, and it's also going to make a common cold worse. And of course, to a lesser extent, every time you have a cigarette around somebody else, they too get to share as a passive smoker in these unwanted gifts. But now you've done all that, we need to talk about cigarette butts. What do you do with yours? Brilliant. I don't know why I'm asking that. I fully expect any smoker has switched off a long time ago and you're already sending me an abusive message. But anyway, if you're still with me, what do you do with yours? Cigarette butts are actually the most abundant form of plastic waste on the planet, with about 4.5 trillion individual butts polluting our global environment. I mean, they're tiny, they go unnoticed, but they're everywhere. And contrary to what some people think, they are not harmless. They're made of cellulose acetate, a man-made plastic material, and contain hundreds of toxic chemicals. And whilst the cigarette butts will actually degrade after about 10 years, the chemicals stay with us for a long time afterwards. They get found in dead seabirds, sea turtles, fish and dolphins. That's our food chain. And this makes me so sad. The amount of people smoking cigarettes is still increasing every year. I realise here that I have moved way beyond the scope of my usual greenwashing and sustainability agenda, but I'm still a little emotionally raw for my brother's near death actual death, I don't know what you call it, experience. So thank you for bearing with me. But if you do care about this stuff, please do subscribe to my channel. Join the debate by offering your constructive comments. Share with your friends and obviously prod the like button. Coming up next is a short run through of my own emotional experience of seeing my brother die and be brought back to life. I haven't recorded it yet, but I expect it to be a little raw. I offer it selfishly really to be cathartic, but perhaps helpful to anyone else who has been through this or may go through a similar experience. It was around 5:30 p.m. on St Patrick's Day. I received a call from my brother's place of work to say that he'd been involved in an accident, with very little detail apart from the location, which was about 10 minutes drive from my house. I knew I'd get my car for something. I had no idea at this stage what to expect, and being a glass half full sort of guy, I was just expecting that he was most likely involved in a minor traffic accident and had fallen off his bike. As we got closer to the scene, as I drove down there, I could see an air ambulance helicopter hovering and almost joked to my girlfriend that it might be for Paul, not believing it would be. Then as we got closer, so did the helicopter. We turned a corner and there were several police cars, a roadblock, a couple of ambulances and first responder vehicles. I explained to the first officer that I thought my brother was involved and he let me drive through. We got out of the car and walked closer to the scene where I was able to talk with the first responder and a policeman who explained what had happened, that Paul had not had a bike accident but had had a heart attack and a full cardiac arrest. It was bizarre, it was surreal watching this scene. There was like half a dozen people in hazmat suits working on my brother on a stretcher or gurney or whatever it is, just in eyeshot. It was like watching a movie. I was actually calm, if not a little confused. I was businesslike almost. I was able to ascertain where his bike was, clothes, rucksack, sensible stuff, but detached, definitely detached. I'm not sure how long they worked on him on the side of the road before they finally took him on the estimated 2-hour journey to Packworth, the heart hospital. But it seemed like an hour, I really don't know. So finally they take him off and I drive home with my brother's tattered clothes cut from his body by the medical services. And for the first time I begin to wonder if this is all I would ever see of him again. But I know I have to stay focused. I need to let my other siblings and immediate family know. And I know I can't do it by text. So I run methodically through the list, phoning each of them, leaving messages because nobody answers their bloody phones anymore. But anyway, I'm calm and I speak with my sister and I'm calm. And then I speak with my daughter and she says, "Are you okay?" And suddenly I lose my composure and I'm momentarily a blubbering idiot. I do, however, compose myself. I berate myself for being a burden. This is not about me. This is about my brother. And I set up a WhatsApp group so that I can keep everyone informed. I even take some time to have something to eat. I'm sensible. And then the hardest part of the entire process was the call to the hospital after a decent amount of time. And I'm making the call needing to be ready for whatever was said and braced for the worst possible news, but hoping obviously for the best. After some back and forth, I know he's alive and he's being assessed. And then eventually, a couple of hours later, that he is post-surgery and still alive. I'm relieved, emotionally exhausted, and sleep ridiculously well that night. Thursday, day 2, I call the hospital. He is sedated but doing well. I keep everybody informed on the WhatsApp group and I set about trying to locate the 4 people who saved his life. Ollie, Brittany, Lisa and Doug, and of course Paul. Absolute heroes. Anyway, I managed to locate 3 of them on the day. Ollie came later, but I lose my composure again in the act of just typing out thank you texts to the 3 of them I have located. Friday, day 3, Paul is still sedated, so no real news. But I'm feeling better now. Saturday, day 4, and I call for an update, expecting Paul to still be sedated. We were expecting to be sedated for 3 or 4 days. And the nurse says, "Oh, he's awake. Would you want to speak to him?" Oh my God. So she passes over the phone. I assume she's just holding it for him. And he sounds like a very, very bad impression of Don Corleone, the mafia boss, and really croaky voice. But I was able to talk to him, and he was able to respond with yes and okay, I think were his only words. And it was just amazing. So Sunday, day 5, Paul is able to talk. So we do have a short chat. He's really confused. He doesn't know why he's there. He's got no idea what happened. He's clearly not just lost that day or the last 4 days, but he's lost a couple of weeks. But I ask him, the classic, what year is it and who is the Prime Minister? And he goes, "Oh, yeah, Boris the twat." So now I'm beginning to relax. He's getting back to his normal self. So Monday, day 6, he's now on a new ward, and we get to FaceTime him. He looks amazingly good and is very cheerful, and we watch him distractedly smiling as his eyes following around these 2 nurses around the room in a sort of grateful thank you for helping me sort of way. I can't remember the last time I was this happy. It was just amazing. So I then drive to Cambridge to drop off some clothes, a couple of books, his laptop and a charger for his phone. Tuesday, day 7. I still can't reach him on his phone or get through to the ward. I give up after about 3 hours on the 25th attempt. Wednesday, day 8, we get to FaceTime again, and he explains that his phone has been playing up for months and won't charge. I'm irritated. Friday, day 10, 10 days from when he was clinically dead on the side of the road, the hospital delivered him home at 11 p.m. I'm there to meet him, and I had to give up my last ever Friday night Zoom with friends to be there. Well, I hope it's my last ever. Let's hope we don't have another lockdown. But anyway, I digress. He looks great, and he bounds up and down the stairs with all the fervour of a rabbit eating a carrot. He asks me what day it is, and I say it's Friday, and he says, "Oh, great, that means I've got a couple of days off before I have to go back to work." Then he mentions, jokingly I think, about having a rollie and a glass of wine. I'm irritated again. I take his phone and I get it repaired. £10. Saturday, day 11. He now has his phone back, but is annoyingly slow in responding to the literally hundreds of well-wishers on Facebook and WhatsApp. And I realise I have to get hold of myself and think how overwhelming this must be for him. Monday, day 13. The local paper want to do a piece on him, and we arranged to meet the 4 heroes outside his house for a photo shoot. Very emotional all around. As I say, there is a link to that article in the description below if you want to see it. I'm now calling him randomly to make sure he's okay. Wednesday, day 15, and Paul has read somewhere on the news about the AstraZeneca vaccine causing blood clots. So now he thinks it was that. It had to be that. I'm so healthy. It can't be me. Yes, Paul, it can be you. You smoke, you idiot. Stop smoking. Please, Paul. It is not the AstraZeneca vaccine. I know you want to believe it is. I know you do. I want to believe it is. I want to believe it's something like that, that's one-off, that you won't have to change your lifestyle. But you do have to change your lifestyle. It's not the same thing. They put a stent in. They put a stent in because you have clogged up arteries through years of smoking, through a lifetime of smoking. You need to stop smoking. Please stop smoking. I love my brother, well, like a brother, with all that entails. And apart from still worrying about him more than I normally would, we are fitting neatly back into the easy, irritated with each other relationship we had before. Moving forward, I can see me being more judgmental about his lifestyle. Should he start smoking again or drink too much? But apart from that, It's just great to have him back. Irritating ways and all. The last 2 weeks have been a roller coaster. And please understand, if you are a smoker, it's not just you it damages. And when something like this happens, the people that love you, your friends and your family, your wives, your girlfriends, your husbands, your children, it's really hard for everyone. And I don't blame you for smoking. I don't blame people of our generation for smoking. We were practically encouraged to start. But now that we know what we know, it's time to stop. And if you can stop, and I am talking to you, Paul, please don't start again. And I'm talking to anybody else who will listen. If you smoke, just stop.